Hey, Blue Math, how's it going? I hope you're having a nice day. Today we're going to continue with our unit on writing algebraic equations, and we're going to be viewing two videos in class today. The first video you're going to be viewing with your LCM partner. You should right now have materials you need for the game, so things you're going to need with you. You're going to need your graph paper notebook. You'll need your pencil with you as well. For the game, some students like using a calculator. That's totally optional. If you want to use it, you can. Other kids like using the computer or a computer for the game as well. So obviously, you're viewing the video on your Chromebook, and if you want to use your laptop to help you at all with any organization, you could totally do that. Or if you want to use a calculator function on your computer, you could do that as well. So really, your choice. It's a fun game. It's called the A1 game today, and it really gets you to think about what we were discussing yesterday and ways in which you can write algebraic rules from t-charts. So kind of all those big ideas are coming back into play. The idea of thinking about constant rate of change, thinking about patterns where they exist in the first set of differences, the second set of differences, thinking strategically about values we pick for for x, like 0, numbers 1 through 10. We talked about consecutive numbers in the last class, landmark numbers like 10, 100, 1000. So all of those ideas will come back into play within this game. When I introduced the game the first time, decades ago, when we were playing, some students thought it was about the A1 steak sauce. Uh, and the game has absolutely nothing to do with A1 steak sauce. So here's what the game is going to look like. The game, it's called the A1 game because it's based around a spreadsheet. And in the game, what's going to happen is you can see in yellow right here, this cell that's highlighted. This is cell A1. And what's going to happen in the game is I'm going to change that cell right there with different values. And then when I do that, what's going to happen is these numbers here, they're going to update. And when those numbers update, that'll correspond with different tables. So let me show you what I mean. What I'd like you to do first in the game is I'd like you to begin by taking your graph paper notebook. And in your graph paper notebook, what you need to do is you need to set up 6 different t-charts. And so the t-charts are all going to be labeled as X, Y, just like this. And you need 6 different t-charts. So what I'd like you to do now, could you pause the video for a moment? And could you set up 6 different t-charts? And then when you're done, could you hit play again? So hopefully at this point you've set up the 6 different t-charts. And what's going to take place in the game is I'm going to give you a value. So for instance, in A1, I might put the value 17. Now, this number 17 is going to correspond with the x values in all 6 of the tables. So this is a terrible number. You wouldn't want to write this down. It doesn't help you at all in the game. But what you could write down on your table for the next number is you would write the x value here on all 6 of your tables. And what you see here in column C, this is what the y value is that corresponds with 17. So for the first algebraic rule, or what I've called game one pair of numbers we know is that when x is 17, y is 220. For the second game, or the second t-chart, when x is 17, y is 49.5. For the third t-chart, or the third game, when x is 17, y is going to equal 247, and so on for the fourth, fifth, and the sixth game. Please don't write these numbers down, though. They're not really helpful. We were last time talking about numbers that were helpful, and this is not one of them. Okay, so with that said, let's actually move on to the first value that will be helpful, that you will want to fill in on all 6 of your t-charts. So in your t-charts in the A1 game, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you, for each of the t-charts, in the X column, you're going to write down 1. Now, what you're going to notice, like in my t-charts right here, the way that I've set it up, and don't worry, I promise I'm going to go back to that slide in a moment. But you'll notice in my t-chart, like what I've done is I actually left a little bit of space right there. Like I didn't start off with like X being 1 right up top, because what I'm hoping in the game is I'm hoping at some point I'm given the X value of 0 and then the Y value that corresponds with that. So for right now, I'm going to leave a little bit of space so I can put my numbers in order. Like this might be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. I want to put those numbers in order. So here's the values that I know so far in the game. I know that in game 1, when X is 1, Y is 12. In game 2, when x is 1, y is 9 and 5/10, or 9.5. For game 3, when x is 1, y is negative 14. For game 4, when x is 1, y is 11. Ooh, and this is interesting. For game 5 and 6, when x is 1, y is 1 in both of those games. Now, every single game has a unique algebraic rule that we're trying to find, and we don't have enough information just yet. So here I see like 5 and 6, even though they have the same value right here for y when x is 1, they're not going to have the same rule. So here's what your t-chart should look like so far. If you want to pause the video to write this down, you absolutely should. So hopefully at this point, you've set up your t-charts now where you have these values right here for all 6 of the algebraic rules. So what we're going to do in this first round is I'm going to give you 2 more values that you're going to fill in on your t-chart. And after you get those values, you're going to pause the video for 5 minutes. And with your learning partner, you're going to work together to see how many rules you could determine on these 6 different t-charts here. So let's get another number. All right. So x is 2. So what you can do in your t-charts is under every single one of the games, you can fill in 2 as your x values. And here's the y values that correspond with them. So in the first game, when x is 2, y is 25. In the second game, when x is 2, y is 12. In the third game, when x is 2, y is negative 11. In the fourth game, when x is 2, y is 18. In the fifth game, when x is 2, y is 0. And in the sixth game, when x is 2, y is 2. So now your t-chart should look like this, and feel free to pause the video if you need to record these. So what we know now, or we know 2 consecutive numbers for our t-charts, and this is going to help us to write these algebraic rules. And how about this? I'm going to give you a third consecutive number that should really help you out. So in round 1, what I'd also like you to do is for each one of your t-charts, could you write down that x is equal to 3? And when you have x is equal to 3, for each of the t-charts, could you write down the y value that connects to it? So in game 1, when x is 3, y is 38. Game 2, when x is 3, y is 14 and 5/10. For game 3, when x is 3, y is negative 6. For game 4, when x is 3, y is 37. For game 5, when x is 3, for game 5, when x is 3, y is 1. And game 6, x is 3, and y is equal to 6. So mathematicians, what I want you to do now, pause the video for 5 minutes. Actually, time it out. Time out 5 minutes, use your clock, use a timer on your Chromebook. But I want you to take a 5-minute break right now with your partner to see how many algebraic rules you can find. After we do that for 5 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 more values. We'll do another 5-minute break. And at the end of the game, you'll see how many rules you found correctly. Okay? Pause the video. I'll see you back in 5 minutes. Hope you had a great 5-minute break. And we're going to take 3 more values now in the A1 game to see how many rules you can find. Have you found 1 rule? 2 rules? 3 rules? Have you got 4 rules? Have you got 5 rules? Has anyone found all 6? All right, let's see. If not, what we're going to do is we are going to update some of our t-charts. Now, for some of the t-charts, if you're like, I totally know what the rule is, there is no reason at all why I need to write anything else down. Don't update those t-charts. If you're certain what the rules are, you don't need to write down the values. But if there's t-charts you haven't figured out just yet, please write down the values you see on the screen. Hold on. I hear kids screaming for something. What's that? You want x is 0? Let's do it. Let's start off this round with x is 0. Here we go. On your t-chart, where we left some space at the very top, could you fill in that x is 0 for all of those t-charts right there? And when x is 0 in the first game, y is negative 1. In the second game, when x is 0, y is 7. The third game, x is 0, y is negative 15. The fourth game, when x is 0, y is 10. The fifth game, when x is 0, y is 4. And the sixth game, when x is 0, y is equal to 1. So this should definitely tell you something right here about all of your rules if you remember from yesterday's class. So you'll know something about each and every one of your algebraic rules given these values here. Let's take two more values. And again, only update the t-charts for rules you don't know. So if you know the rule for game 1, there's no reason to write that down. If you know game 2, there's no reason to write that down. But if you don't know games 3, 4, 5, and 6, you want to record those values. Let's take 4. So on your t-chart right now, I can imagine you having, like, in sequential order, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that'll really give you a nice string of consecutive numbers. So when x is 4 in the first game, y is equal to 51. The second game, when x is 4, y is equal to 17. In the third game, when x is 4, y is equal to 1. In the fourth game, when x is 4, y is equal to 74. In the fifth game, when x is 4, y is 4. And in the sixth game, when x is 4, y is equal to 24. Let's take one more number, and then we'll have a 5-minute break. Let's go for a larger landmark number. This might help you out. Let's go for 10. So in the first game, when x is equal to 10, y is equal to 129. The second game, when x is 10, y is equal to 32. The third game, when x is 10, y is equal to 85. In the fourth game, when x is 10, y is equal to 1010. In the fifth game, when x is equal to 10, y is equal to 64. And in the sixth game, when x is equal to 10, y is equal to, whoa, this gets large really fast, 3,628,800. So what I'd like you to do is, in a moment, I'm going to have you pause your computer and take another 5-minute break with your partner to see how many rules you can find. After the 5 minutes, I want you to click the link in the document and to see how many of the rules you got accurately. All right, mathematicians, good luck working with your partner. See how many rules you can find, and I will see you back soon.